Hello, and thank you for joining me today as we begin to talk about muscles that move the thigh. So we're on to the lower body as far as muscles go. We're going to talk about today muscles that move the thigh. Specifically, we are going to identify major muscles associated with hip mobility. We're going to look at muscles as prime movers, synergists, or antagonists in regards to different movements. And we're going to look at the difference between your gluteus maximus, your gluteus medius, and your gluteus minimus as well. So here we go. So first, muscles that move the thigh. You have a couple of them. We're going to start with the psoas major and your iliacus. Combined, they form what's known as your ilio-psoas muscle. This is your hip flexor. Your psoas major originates at your lumbar spine. Your iliacus originates at your ilium. They both insert at the lesser trochanter of the femur. Their function is to flex the thigh and decrease the angle between your thigh and your hip, essentially. So they allow you to raise your hip, raise your knee, is what they do. Your gluteus maximus, this is your major butt muscle, originates at your sacrum, your coccyx, and the posterior surface of the ilium. It inserts along the posterior surface of the femur. So if it's originating at your sacrum and your coccyx, and it inserts on the posterior side of your femur, when it contracts, it's going to shorten the gap between those and extend your thigh at the hip. So if you stand up and you try to pull your heel behind you in a straight line without bending your knee, that's going to be your gluteus maximus working. And then your gluteus medius is on the lateral surface of the ilium, originates at the lateral surface of the ilium, inserts at the greater trochanter of the femur, and functions to abduct and rotate the thigh medially. So this allows you to move your hip away from the body and rotate it medially, being point your toes towards the middle. That's your medial rotation. So here are some pictures. This is your iliopsoas muscle here. So your iliacus is this one, and your psoas major goes all the way up. But that is your hip flexor itself. So they both function to pull your thigh upwards, flex at the hip. Your gluteus maximus, again, originates here at your sacrum, your coccyx, all there. It inserts down along your femur and functions to extend your hip at the thigh. Extend your thigh at the hip. Extend your thigh at the hip is your gluteus maximus. Your gluteus medius is this guy here. So this is the lateral surface of your ilium. It inserts down here on your lesser trochanter. And so when it contracts, it's going to pull your hip out away from your body, away from the midline. We haven't talked about it yet, but your gluteus minimus does the same thing. It's just a smaller muscle than your gluteus medius. So when you abduct your hip, abduct your thigh at the hip, you're working both your gluteus medius and your minimus, but the medius is a bigger muscle, so it's going to do more work. So here are some other muscles. So your gluteus minimus, we just talked about, originates the lateral surface of the ilium, inserts greater trochanter of the femur, same as the gluteus medius. It abducts your thigh at the hip. And you have these muscles called your adductors. You have your adductor longus, adductor magnus, and adductor brevis. Your adductor longus originates at your pubic bone, inserts along the posterior surface of the femur. Its function is to adduct the thigh, hence the adductor. Adductor magnus originates ischial tuberosity, inserts posterior surface of the femur. Hey, same as the above one. Guess what it's going to do? Adduct the thigh, hence the name. And your last one is your gracilis. This one it originates on the lower edge of the pubic symphysis, so right along your pubic tubercle, inserts at the medial surface of the tibia, and functions to adduct the thigh and flex the leg at the knee. So if you're straight-legged, it can adduct your thigh. If you want to bend your legs, it helps with knee flexion. So flex the leg at the knee. So we've seen this. Here's your gluteus minimus again, beneath the gluteus medius. Here's your adductors. You have 3 of them. Adductor longus, adductor magnus, and your adductor brevis is up here. It's shorter. So the brevis is really short. The magnus is this whole thing. So it goes here, and then it runs all the way out here. This whole thing is the adductor magnus. So magnus meaning big. The longest muscle is just this short little guy here. Short being small, not short. It's the longest of your adductors as far as initial insertion point. Your magnus inserts here, your brevis inserts up here. And then your gracilis is this guy here that goes all the way down and inserts along your knee. Those are the muscles that allow you to move your thigh. So here are your review questions. What is the function of the gluteus maximus? What are the two muscles that make up the hip flexor? And why is it called the hip flexor? What does it do? What is the function of the gluteus medius or the gluteus minimus? And then which group of muscles allow you to bring your leg towards the midline? Those are your review questions. Make sure you can answer those. If you have questions, please come see me. Otherwise, I will see you next time as we continue down the body. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.